Imagine standing at the edge of your deepest desires, a contract in your hand, and the devil himself waiting for your signature. What would you trade for unlimited power, knowledge, and pleasure? Your wealth? Your soul? This is the dark bargain at the heart of Dr. Faustus, one of the most haunting tales in literature. It's a story of ambition, hubris, and the ultimate price of chasing forbidden power. Welcome to Legends Reimagined, where history, mythology, and literature come alive through the lens of AI. Today we're diving into Christopher Marlowe's masterpiece, Dr. Faustus. Together we'll uncover the layers of this cautionary tale, its timeless relevance, and the chilling lessons it holds for us today. Dr. Faustus is no ordinary man. Born in a modest household, he rises to greatness through sheer intellect and ambition, becoming a renowned scholar. But for Faustus, knowledge isn't enough. The confines of human understanding frustrate him. He dreams of mastering the universe, bending reality to his will. In his restless quest for ultimate power, Faustus turns to the forbidden art of necromancy, summoning spirits and commanding dark forces. But as we all know, meddling with the supernatural comes at a cost, and for Faustus, that cost is nothing less than his soul. One fateful night, Faustus performs a forbidden ritual, and the demon Mephistopheles appears. Faustus doesn't flinch. Instead, he offers Mephistopheles a deal: 24 years of service, unimaginable power, and access to every secret of the universe in exchange for his soul. But here's the twist. Faustus doesn't make the deal out of desperation. He makes it out of arrogance. He believes he can outsmart the devil himself. What follows is a pact sealed in blood, an eternal commitment to darkness. As the ink dries, Faustus begins his journey into a world of unimaginable power and inevitable ruin. At first, Faustus revels in his newfound power. He commands storms, summons spirits, and bends kings to his will. Yet for all his might, his triumphs feel hollow. The pleasures he once craved fail to satisfy him. The knowledge he sought only deepens his despair. This is where Marlowe's genius shines. Faustus isn't just a man who made a bad decision. He's a reflection of human ambition gone too far. He represents the part of us that always wants more, even at the expense of our morality. As the 24 years draw to a close, Faustus begins to feel the weight of his bargain. He's haunted by visions of hell, tormented by regret, and desperate for redemption. But it's too late. The devil always collects. In the final moments, Faustus begs for mercy, cries out to heaven, and pleads for one more chance. But the clock strikes midnight, and Mephistopheles drags him into the abyss. It's a terrifying end to a story that reminds us no power, no pleasure, no ambition is worth the price of your soul. Dr. Faustus isn't just a cautionary tale about selling your soul. It's a story about the dangers of unchecked ambition, the limits of human understanding, and the eternal struggle between good and evil within us all. Marlowe's play asks us to confront a timeless question. What are we willing to sacrifice for the things we desire most? And at what cost? Here at Legends Reimagined, we've revived Faustus's tragic story, not just to revisit a classic, but to reflect on its meaning in today's world. From artificial intelligence to scientific breakthroughs, aren't we all in some way reaching for godlike power? Stay tuned as we continue to breathe new life into the greatest stories of history, mythology, and literature, revived, reimagined, and retold for the modern age. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Legends Reimagined, because every legend has a warning, and every story has a lesson. Imagine a place where sinners face poetic justice for eternity. That's exactly what Dante envisioned in his Inferno. Ever wondered what hell might look like? Dante Alighieri didn't just imagine it, he mapped it. He gave it 9 circles, each with its own terrifying punishment. Let's descend into the Inferno, guided by the master himself, Dante Alighieri. First off, let's set the stage. Dante's Inferno is the first part of his 14th century epic poem, The Divine Comedy. Written in Italian, this masterpiece takes us through hell, purgatory, and paradise. But today we're focusing on the dark and twisted corridors of Inferno. The story begins on Good Friday in the year 1300. Dante, the protagonist, finds himself lost in a dark, tangled forest. He's just turned 35, the midpoint of his life, and he's in desperate need of some divine intervention. Enter Virgil, the ancient Roman poet, who appears as his guide. Virgil represents human reason, and he's here to navigate Dante through the 9 circles of hell. So what are these 9 circles, you ask? Each circle represents a different sin and its corresponding punishment. It's a grim, detailed tour of human vice and divine justice. Let's dive in. The first circle is limbo. Here, unbaptized souls and virtuous pagans reside. They aren't tormented, but they're forever denied the light of God. Think of it as eternal shade. The second circle is lust. Here, souls are blown about by violent winds, never finding peace. This is where we meet Francesca and Paolo, tragic lovers whose affair condemned them to this stormy fate. Gluttony takes the third circle. Here, souls lie in a vile slush, eternally battered by icy rain. It's a vivid representation of overindulgence. Cerberus, the 3-headed dog, guards this circle, tearing at the sinners with relentless ferocity. In the fourth circle, we find the hoarders and wasters. They're condemned to push massive weights in an endless joust, symbolizing their futile materialism. Circle 5 is wrath. The wrathful fight each other on the surface of the river Styx, while the sullen lie gurgling beneath it. It's a chaotic, violent scene that perfectly captures the destructive nature of anger. Circle 6 is heresy. The heretics lie in flaming tombs, eternally burning for their false beliefs. Here Dante encounters Farinata, a proud and defiant soul. Violence occupies the 7th circle. It's divided into 3 rings: violence against others, against oneself, and against God. Each ring has its own gruesome punishment, from rivers of boiling blood to forests of twisted, suicidal souls. The 8th circle is fraud, housing the malicious deceivers. This circle is split into 10 ditches, each punishing different types of fraud, from hypocrites to thieves, and even false counselors. Finally, we reach the 9th circle, treachery. Here, traitors are frozen in a lake of ice, far from the warmth of God's love. At the very center lies Lucifer himself, trapped in ice, forever gnawing on history's greatest traitors, Judas, Brutus, and Cassius. Dante's Inferno isn't just a tale of punishment. It's a profound exploration of sin, justice, and redemption. It's a journey that forces us to confront our own moral compass. So next time you pick up this epic poem, remember, it's more than just a trip through hell. It's a journey into the depths of the human soul. Thanks for exploring Dante's Inferno with me today. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more literary adventures. Catch you later. In a moment of courage and chaos, 600 brave souls charged into history. Join us as we delve into the story behind one of the most daring and devastating military actions ever recorded. Imagine this: a valley shrouded in smoke, the thunder of hooves, and the clash of steel. This is the charge of the Light Brigade, a moment etched in military history that echoes through time. It was October 25th, 1854. The Crimean War was raging, and the British Light Brigade, commanded by Lord Cardigan, was about to make a move that would be immortalized in both glory and tragedy. Picture this: 600 cavalrymen, armed with only sabers and lances, riding straight into the jaws of death. The order came down the chain: advance rapidly to the front, follow the enemy, and try to prevent the enemy carrying away the guns. But there was a mix-up. Instead of targeting a retreating artillery battery, they were heading straight for a heavily fortified Russian position. It was a colossal blunder. But here's the kicker. Despite knowing they were riding into a death trap, these brave souls pressed on. Why? Because duty and honor were the cornerstones of their existence. They trusted their leaders, even when the odds were stacked against them. The valley they charged into became known as the Valley of Death. Cannons roared from 3 sides, showering the brigade with a deadly hail of shot and shell. Yet undeterred, they galloped forward, a sight that was both awe-inspiring and heartbreaking. Witnesses described the scene as surreal. Russian soldiers, astounded by the sheer audacity of the charge, watched in disbelief. The Light Brigade smashed into the Russian lines, cutting down enemies left and right. But the cost was staggering. Of the 600 who began the charge, less than 200 made it back. The carnage was immense, but their bravery became the stuff of legend. Alfred Lord Tennyson immortalized their valor in his poem, The Charge of the Light Brigade. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death rode the 600. Tennyson's words captured the essence of their sacrifice, a powerful reminder of the human spirit's capacity for courage, even in the face of certain doom. So, what can we learn from this epic tale? It's a stark reminder of the fog of war and the high price of miscommunication. But more importantly, it stands as a testament to the bravery and resilience of those who serve. Their story continues to inspire and remind us of the profound cost of conflict. Next time you hear the phrase, "into the valley of death," remember the Light Brigade and the incredible courage they displayed. Thanks for tuning in, history buffs. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more epic tales from the annals of history. Until next time, keep exploring the past. What if I told you about a hero, haunted by the ruins of a fallen empire, driven by the will of the gods, and destined to lay the foundation for the greatest civilization in history? This is no ordinary tale. This is Virgil's Aeneid, a story of gods and mortals, love and loss, war and destiny. It's the story of Aeneas, the man who carried the torch of Troy to light the fire of Rome. It all begins in the ashes of Troy. The Greeks, with their cunning Trojan horse, had won the war. Troy was burning. Amid the destruction, one man rose from the flames, Aeneas, a prince of Troy. But his mission wasn't to fight back, it was to flee. Guided by the gods, Aeneas gathered his family and a band of survivors. His father, Anchises, carried their past. His son, Ascanius, symbolized their future. And in Aeneas's hands, he carried something greater, Rome's destiny. But the gods had their own plans. Juno, queen of the gods, despised the Trojans. She unleashed storms to derail Aeneas's fleet. Yet Neptune, god of the sea, intervened, ensuring Aeneas stayed afloat. After surviving the storm, Aeneas found refuge in Carthage, ruled by the radiant Queen Dido. Here, a spark ignited between them, a love powerful enough to challenge fate itself. But was love ever stronger than destiny? Mercury, messenger of the gods, reminded Aeneas of his duty. Torn between his heart and his fate, Aeneas chose the latter, leaving Dido behind. Her grief was profound, and her curse, a vow that Carthage would forever oppose Rome, would echo through history. Fate had more in store for Aeneas. In a journey few mortals dared to undertake, he descended into the underworld. There he sought the spirit of his father, Anchises. Anchises revealed the future glory of Rome. Aeneas saw the leaders who would rise from his bloodline and the empire they would build. Strengthened by this vision, he returned to the land of the living, ready to fulfill his destiny. At last, Aeneas arrived in Italy, the land promised by the gods. But the path to peace was paved with war. Turnus, a local prince, opposed Aeneas's claim to the land and to Lavinia, the daughter of King Latinus. The conflict was fierce. When Turnus killed Pallas, Aeneas's closest ally, the Trojan prince's fury knew no bounds. The stage was set for a final showdown between Aeneas and Turnus. The duel was brutal, a clash of will and fate. In the end, Aeneas emerged victorious. Yet as he stood over Turnus, sword poised, he hesitated. Was mercy greater than vengeance? But the memory of Pallas fueled his decision. Aeneas struck the fatal blow, sealing the fate of Turnus and fulfilling the prophecy of Rome's foundation. Aeneas's journey was far more than a tale of heroism. It was a story of duty, sacrifice, and destiny. Virgil's Aeneid doesn't just tell the story of one man, it tells the story of an empire, an identity, a legacy that would shape the world for centuries to come. So the next time you see the grandeur of Rome, remember the man who carried its dream across the seas. This is Aeneas, this is the Aeneid, and this is the power of destiny. Well, it's not just a story of a hero's journey, it's a reflection on the human condition, the power of destiny, and the complexities of duty and sacrifice. It's a work that has shaped literature, art, and culture for over 2 millennia. Whether you're a seasoned classicist or a curious newcomer, this timeless masterpiece has something for everyone. So, why not pick up a copy and embark on Aeneas's epic journey yourself? Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic legends. In a distant time, before the world was tamed, there lived a warrior of unmatched strength and courage, Beowulf. His tale begins in Geatland, where he served as a loyal thane to his king, Hyde. Beowulf was known for his incredible feats, his reputation stretching far across the seas. But it was not fame alone that drove him. It was the pursuit of honor and the chance to test himself against the forces of darkness. Across the water in the land of the Danes, King Hrothgar faced a terror that none could defeat. A monstrous creature named Grendel had plagued his great hall, Heorot. Night after night, Grendel would emerge from the shadows, slaughtering warriors and filling the hall with despair. No weapon could harm him, and no warrior could stand against him. The people were desperate, and the great hall, once a place of joy and song, was now shrouded in fear. When word of this reached Beowulf, he knew his destiny called him to action. With 14 of his bravest men, he set sail to the land of the Danes. Upon arrival, Beowulf offered his services to Hrothgar, promising to face Grendel with nothing but his bare hands, trusting his strength and courage alone. That night, as the hall fell silent and the warriors pretended to sleep, Beowulf waited. Grendel emerged, a monstrous figure of shadow and fury. He entered the hall, unaware that his doom awaited him. As Grendel reached for his next victim, Beowulf seized him with a grip of iron. The two engaged in a ferocious struggle, shaking the very foundations of Heorot. Grendel's strength was unmatched, but for the first time, he met someone stronger. Beowulf tore Grendel's arm from his body, and the monster fled into the night, mortally wounded. The hall erupted in celebration. Beowulf had done what no other could. He had defeated Grendel and restored hope to the Danes. The severed arm was hung as a trophy, a testament to Beowulf's heroism. But the story did not end there. Grendel's mother, a creature just as fearsome, sought vengeance. She attacked Heorot, killing one of Hrothgar's trusted advisors. Beowulf, undeterred, vowed to face her in her lair, a dark and forbidding lake. He plunged into the murky depths, descending into her underwater home. There, in a fierce battle, Beowulf discovered a mighty sword forged by giants. With it, he struck down Grendel's mother, ending her reign of terror. When he emerged from the lake, victorious yet weary, he carried with him the head of the beast and the hilt of the enchanted sword. Once again, Beowulf had triumphed where others had failed. For his deeds, Hrothgar showered Beowulf with treasures and praised his unmatched bravery. Beowulf returned to Geatland a hero, where he eventually became king. His reign was long and prosperous, but his greatest challenge was yet to come. Many years later, in his twilight years, Beowulf faced one final trial. A dragon that had awakened, enraged by the theft of a precious cup from its hoard. The beast ravaged the land, spreading fire and death. Despite his age, Beowulf knew it was his duty to confront the dragon. With a small band of warriors, he approached the dragon's lair. In the heat of battle, Beowulf fought valiantly, but the dragon's power was immense. One by one, his men fled in fear, leaving only Wiglaf, a loyal warrior, to stand by his side. Together, they managed to slay the beast, but not without cost. Beowulf was mortally wounded by the dragon's venomous bite. As he lay dying, Beowulf spoke to Wiglaf, entrusting him with the future of the kingdom. His final wish was to be remembered as a protector of his people. Wiglaf, heartbroken, honored his king's last request, building a great barrow on a cliff overlooking the sea, where Beowulf's ashes were laid to rest. And so, the story of Beowulf came to an end. He was more than a warrior. He was a symbol of courage, loyalty, and the eternal struggle against darkness. His tale, passed down through the ages, reminds us that true heroism is not just about strength, but about the willingness to sacrifice for the greater good. Beowulf's story is as timeless as it is powerful. It speaks of a hero's journey, the inevitability of mortality, and the enduring legacy one can leave behind. This is why, even after centuries, Beowulf remains a legend, a testament to the courage of the human spirit. In the mists of ancient Europe, where kings fought for glory and dragons hoarded gold, there lies a tale so haunting, so full of betrayal, vengeance, and tragedy, that it has echoed through the ages. It's a story whispered by bards in royal courts and sung around blazing fires, a tale of unyielding love, devastating treachery, and the unrelenting pursuit of honor. This is the Nibelungen, the epic saga of Siegfried the Dragon Slayer, the cunning Queen Kriemhild, and the cursed treasure that brought kingdoms to ruin. But beware, this is no fairy tale. The Nibelungen isn't a story of happily ever after. It's a story of power and pride, where even the greatest heroes are brought to their knees. Stay with me, and let's unravel this legendary tapestry, thread by thread. Our story begins in the ancient realm of Burgundy, ruled by three royal siblings, King Gunther, the stoic and ambitious, Gernot, the noble-hearted, and Giselher, the youngest and most naive. But it is their sister, Kriemhild, whose beauty and wit are unmatched, who becomes the fulcrum on which this epic tale turns. Kriemhild dreams of love, not just any love, but the kind that transcends time, the kind sung about in legends. Yet she is haunted by a foreboding vision. Her beloved will die a violent death. Enter Siegfried, the Prince of Xanten. Siegfried is no ordinary hero. He is the slayer of Fafnir, the dragon who guarded a hoard of cursed treasure. By bathing in the dragon's blood, Siegfried became nearly invincible, save for one fatal weakness, a small spot on his back where a linden leaf fell during his blood-soaked ritual. This small detail will later seal his fate. Siegfried arrives in Burgundy, his eyes set on the radiant Kriemhild. But this is a world of kings and politics, where alliances are forged as much by steel as by marriage. To win Kriemhild's hand, Siegfried must first aid her brother Gunther in a nearly impossible quest. Gunther desires the warrior queen Brunhild, a woman of unmatched strength and fiery temper, but Brunhild has no intention of marrying any man unless he can best her in 3 brutal contests. Gunther, aware that he cannot win on his own, enlists Siegfried's help. With a magical cloak of invisibility, Siegfried secretly aids Gunther, ensuring his victory. Yet this deceit sets in motion a chain of events that will lead to unimaginable betrayal. Siegfried wins Kriemhild, Gunther marries Brunhild, and 2 royal couples are united. But beneath the surface, secrets fester. Brunhild, unaware of Siegfried's role in her defeat, feels humiliated, and her resentment begins to simmer. The turning point comes when Kriemhild and Brunhild clash in a devastating argument. Kriemhild, enraged by Brunhild's accusations, reveals the truth. It was Siegfried, not Gunther, who bested Brunhild. Humiliated and furious, Brunhild demands justice. Gunther, trapped between loyalty to his sister and the honor of his queen, makes a fateful decision. He conspires with Hagen, his most trusted warrior, to eliminate Siegfried. Hagen, cunning and ruthless, uses Kriemhild's love for her husband against her. He tricks her into revealing Siegfried's only weakness, the vulnerable spot on his back. During a hunting expedition, Hagen strikes. He drives his spear into Siegfried's back as the hero drinks from a spring, killing him in cold blood. The dragon slayer falls not in glorious battle, but through treachery. Grief-stricken and enraged, Kriemhild vows revenge. Siegfried's death is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a much darker chapter. Before his death, Siegfried had claimed the cursed Nibelung treasure, a hoard of gold so vast it could buy entire kingdoms. But this treasure, said to carry the weight of death and doom, is seized by Hagen, who sinks it into the Rhine to keep it from Kriemhild's hands. Kriemhild's fury transforms her into a relentless force of vengeance. She marries Attila the Hun, a move that shocks the Burgundian court. Through this alliance, she orchestrates a bloody plan to bring her brothers and Hagen to justice. At Attila's court, the feasting turns to slaughter, and the Burgundians are massacred in a gruesome finale. Yet even in her victory, Kriemhild's rage consumes her. She meets her end at Hagen's hands, leaving a legacy of blood, betrayal, and the shattered dreams of a once bright future. The Nibelungen is more than just a tale of dragons and heroes. It's a cautionary epic about the devastating consequences of pride, greed, and vengeance. It asks us, how far would you go for love, for honor, for revenge, and at what cost? This story, born in the medieval courts of Europe, remains as haunting today as it was 1,000 years ago. It reminds us that even the mightiest heroes and the most cunning queens are bound by the human flaws that define us all. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of the greatest legends ever told. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Legends Reimagined for more epic stories from history and myth. And let us know, whose side do you take, Kriemhild or Hagen? The debate rages on to this day. Have you ever heard a story so haunting that it stays with you forever? One where guilt takes shape, nature turns vengeful, and the supernatural weaves through every moment. Welcome to the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, where a sailor's fateful act unleashes a curse that defies death itself. Today on Legends Reimagined, we bring this timeless tale back to life with AI, unraveling its mysteries and exploring its chilling supernatural elements. Prepare to enter a world of omens, ghostly ships, and eternal redemption. Let's begin. The story begins on a calm sea, with a ship full of hopeful sailors. Their journey was blessed by an unexpected visitor. A magnificent albatross. To them, it wasn't just a bird. It was a guide, a beacon through icy, treacherous waters. But then, the mariner, without reason or warning, killed the albatross. An act that shattered their fragile harmony with nature. And that's when the supernatural began to take hold. The winds died. The sea turned into a lifeless, glassy expanse. The sailors, once filled with joy, began to waste away, their lives bound to the mariner's inexplicable crime. As punishment, they hung the albatross around his neck, a grim reminder of his guilt. Then came the turning point, the ghost ship. Through the shimmering heat of the endless ocean, the mariner saw a spectral vessel drifting toward them. On board were two figures, death and life in death, gambling for the sailors' fates. With a single roll of the dice, the mariner was condemned to a fate worse than death. Eternal life, burdened by his guilt and the horrors of what was to come. The crew didn't escape their curse either. One by one they fell dead where they stood. But their deaths weren't peaceful. Their souls, described as leaving their bodies like a whiz of my crossbow, filled the air with an unnatural, haunting energy. The mariner was left utterly alone, trapped on a ghostly ship surrounded by the unblinking eyes of the dead. But the supernatural wasn't done with him yet. One night, as he gazed into the sea, he saw strange, glowing creatures writhing in the water. Sea snakes, otherworldly in their beauty. And something stirred within him. He blessed them, unknowing, and that single act of grace broke part of his curse. The albatross fell from his neck, and the mariner felt a faint glimmer of hope. But redemption in this tale isn't straightforward. Even as he escaped the dead calm of the sea, his journey was marked by visions and unearthly phenomena. Ghostly voices spoke, steering the ship with unseen hands. The mariner returned to land, but his life was forever changed. The curse had one last demand. He must wander the world, telling his tale to anyone who would listen. Welcome to Legends Reimagined. Today we delve into the gripping and macabre tale of the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. A story that asks, what happens when the line between good and evil isn't just blurred, it's obliterated? Imagine a world where your darkest impulses roam free, unchecked. This is the chilling reality of Dr. Jekyll, whose ambition to conquer human duality unleashed something far more terrifying. Let's unravel this twisted tale. It all begins with a peculiar incident on the fog-drenched streets of London. A young girl is trampled by a man described as hideous and sinister. The man, Mr. Edward Hyde, shows no remorse but offers a check signed by the highly respected Dr. Henry Jekyll to settle the matter. This connection between Jekyll and Hyde stirs suspicion among Jekyll's close friends, including his lawyer, Mr. Utterson, who begins to investigate. Dr. Jekyll, a celebrated scientist and philanthropist, seems to embody virtue and self-restraint. But Utterson notices something peculiar. Jekyll's sudden withdrawal from society and his troubling insistence that Hyde be left alone, no matter how vile his behavior. What could possibly bind a man like Jekyll to someone as depraved as Hyde? The truth lies in Jekyll's ambitious experiment. Driven by a desire to separate the good and evil within himself, he creates a serum that transforms him into Edward Hyde, a physical manifestation of his darkest desires. At first, Jekyll revels in the freedom Hyde provides, committing acts of cruelty and debauchery with no consequence. But what begins as a controlled experiment soon spirals into chaos. The turning point comes when Hyde's violence escalates. His once petty misdeeds give way to unspeakable atrocities, culminating in the brutal murder of Sir Danvers Carew, a respected public figure. Hyde bludgeons him to death with a walking stick in a frenzy of rage, a crime that shocks all of London. With the net closing in on Hyde, Jekyll swears to abandon the experiment. He locks away the serum, vowing to bury Hyde forever. For a time, it seems Jekyll has succeeded. He re-emerges into society, hosting friends and resuming his charitable work, but the balance within him has shifted irrevocably. Hyde, no longer dependent on the serum, begins to surface on his own. One moment, Jekyll is himself, the next he's Hyde, his monstrous alter ego clawing its way to dominance. The Doctor is horrified to discover that his dual nature has become a battle for control, one he is losing. Then comes the final descent. Hyde, now fully dominant, begins to panic as the authorities close in on him for Carew's murder. But there's no escape for Hyde, for he and Jekyll are one and the same. The realization that his life is doomed drives Hyde to take the ultimate step. When Utterson and the servants finally break into Jekyll's lab, they find a chilling scene. Hyde lies dead, an empty vial of poison in his hand. But where is Dr. Jekyll? Utterson discovers a letter, a confession, that reveals the horrifying truth. Jekyll's experiment was not a triumph over human duality, but a surrender to it. By creating Hyde, Jekyll thought he could separate his darker impulses, but instead he gave them power. Hyde was not a separate entity. He was the purest expression of Jekyll's own evil. In the end, Dr. Jekyll could not escape the monster he had unleashed because that monster was himself. The tragic irony of his story is clear. Jekyll's quest to conquer human nature only proved how inseparable our duality truly is. So, what can we learn from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? Is it a cautionary tale about science overstepping its bounds, or is it a mirror reflecting our own hidden darkness? Perhaps it's both. Here on Legends Reimagined, we explore how such timeless tales resonate with us today. What would Jekyll and Hyde look like in the modern age? Would science still tempt us to unravel the mysteries of the human psyche? Stay tuned, subscribe, and join us next time as we bring another legendary story to life, with a twist. A young scientist stands over a lifeless body, his heart racing as thunder roars outside. With one final surge of power, the creature's eyes snap open, and in that instant, Victor Frankenstein's dream of creating life turns into a waking nightmare. Our story begins with Captain Robert Walton, an ambitious explorer navigating the icy waters of the Arctic. His expedition to find the North Pole is interrupted when his crew spots a man stranded on the ice, a man named Victor Frankenstein. Weak and near death, Victor begins recounting his life's tragic tale to the curious captain. Victor tells of his idyllic childhood in Geneva, growing up with his loving family and his adopted sister Elizabeth, who would later become the love of his life. From a young age, Victor was consumed by a thirst for knowledge. Fascinated by the mysteries of life, he dove into the works of ancient philosophers and alchemists, dreaming of unlocking the secrets of creation. When Victor leaves for university, he becomes obsessed with the idea of conquering death itself. He dedicates himself to mastering science, eventually discovering the secret to animating lifeless matter. Eager to test his discovery, Victor isolates himself in his laboratory, scavenging graveyards and slaughterhouses to piece together a being unlike anything the world has ever seen. And then, on one stormy night, he succeeds. With a jolt of electricity, his creation comes to life. But Victor's triumph is short-lived. The creature, monstrous in its appearance with yellow eyes and decaying flesh, fills him with terror. Overcome with guilt and disgust, Victor flees, abandoning his creation to the world. The creature, left to fend for itself, wanders the countryside. Though grotesque in form, it begins life as an innocent being, eager to understand the world. It hides near a remote cottage, secretly observing a family. From them, the creature learns language, human emotions, and even kindness. But when it tries to approach them, hoping for acceptance, it is met with fear and rejection. This rejection becomes a turning point. The creature, now aware of its isolation and suffering, becomes consumed by rage. It sets out to find Victor, demanding answers from its creator. When the two finally meet, the creature confronts Victor, recounting its misery and blaming him for its cursed existence. But the creature doesn't only seek revenge, it desires companionship. It pleads with Victor to create a second being, a companion who could share in its loneliness. Reluctantly, Victor agrees and begins work on a second creation. But as he nears completion, he's overcome with dread, fearing the consequences of bringing another monster into the world. In a moment of panic, he destroys his work. This betrayal seals Victor's fate. Enraged, the creature vows to make him suffer. One by one, Victor's loved ones fall victim to the creature's wrath. His youngest brother, William, is murdered. Victor's closest friend, Henry Clerval, is killed. And finally, on the night of his wedding, the creature takes Elizabeth, leaving Victor utterly broken. Consumed by grief and guilt, Victor dedicates the rest of his life to hunting the creature. His pursuit takes him across Europe and ultimately to the Arctic, where the two confront each other one final time. But Victor's health fails him before he can enact his revenge. He dies aboard Walton's ship, leaving behind a legacy of ambition and ruin. As Walton listens to Victor's tale, the creature makes one final appearance. Mourning the death of its creator, the creature reveals its own torment, the agony of its existence, the loneliness that drove its rage, and the burden of its crimes. Declaring that it will end its own life, the creature disappears into the frozen wasteland, leaving behind only questions. Who was the real monster, Victor or his creation? And what are the limits of human ambition? At its heart, Frankenstein is more than just a horror story. It's a meditation on ambition, creation, and the responsibilities that come with power. Victor's desire to conquer death mirrors humanity's relentless pursuit of progress, often without considering the consequences. The creature, cast out by its creator, is a tragic figure, a victim of neglect, a reflection of humanity's fear of the unfamiliar. Thank you for joining me on this journey into Mary Shelley's masterpiece. If you want to explore more timeless legends, myths, and stories brought to life with the power of AI, don't forget to subscribe to Legends Reimagined. Until next time, let's keep uncovering the lessons and warnings hidden in the stories that have shaped our world. Imagine a tale where history and mythology collide, a story of sailors braving uncharted seas while gods watch from above, plotting their fates. This is Os Lusíadas by Luís de Camões, the epic poem that immortalizes Portugal's age of discovery. Our story begins in Lisbon, where Vasco da Gama and his fleet prepare to embark on a groundbreaking voyage to India. As they set sail, their journey becomes more than just a quest for trade. It's a divine struggle. The gods of Olympus take sides. Venus supports the Portuguese, admiring their bravery and ambition, while Bacchus, jealous and fearful of their success, schemes to destroy them. The fleet sails south, facing fierce storms and trials along the African coast. When they reach the Cape of Good Hope, Bacchus strikes. He conjures a monstrous tempest to destroy them, testing their resilience to its limits. But Venus intervenes, calming the seas and protecting the sailors, who emerge battered but alive. Reaching the Indian Ocean, the sailors endure new challenges, hunger, sickness, and despair. Their determination keeps them going, and finally, they arrive in Calicut, a vibrant city in India. Here, they negotiate with local rulers and secure their place in history as pioneers of the sea route to the east. But Os Lusíadas is more than just a tale of adventure. Along the way, Vasco da Gama tells the history of Portugal to the foreign king, recounting the nation's rise from humble beginnings to a global power. The poem celebrates the courage and ambition of the Portuguese people while reflecting on the costs of empire, the lives lost, the lands taken, and the fragile line between glory and hubris. Before their return, the sailors are rewarded by Venus, who leads them to the Isle of Love. Here, nymphs welcome them as heroes, offering a brief moment of respite before their journey home. It's a symbolic ending, a celebration of their success and the divine favor they've earned. And so, the tale of Os Lusíadas comes full circle, a nation's spirit captured in verse, a poet's life reflected in his work, and an epic that endures as a testament to human ambition, resilience, and the eternal quest to conquer the unknown. So what drives humanity to brave the unknown? What sacrifices must be made for greatness? These are the questions at the heart of Os Luciadas. Join us as we dive deeper into this masterpiece, where every line is a wave carrying us toward discovery and reflection. Like, share and subscribe for more epics. What if I told you that ambition could drive a man to the heights of power, only to plunge him into the depths of madness? That a prophecy, whispered by eerie voices in the dark, could change the course of history? Welcome to Legends Reimagined, where we breathe new life into history, mythology, and literature with the power of AI. Today, we step into the shadowy corridors of fate and treachery to uncover the tragic downfall of Macbeth. Our tale begins on a storm-ravaged battlefield in Scotland. Macbeth, a noble and valiant warrior, has just secured victory for King Duncan. But as he and his loyal friend Banquo ride through the mist, they encounter three mysterious witches. Their words will alter his destiny forever. All hail, Macbeth. Hail to thee, Thane of Glamis. Hail to thee, Thane of Cawdor. Hail to thee, who shall be king hereafter. At first, Macbeth laughs off their prophecy. But when he is soon granted the title of Thane of Cawdor, he begins to wonder, could the witches be right? Could the throne truly be within his grasp? And more importantly, should he wait for fate to unfold, or take matters into his own hands? Macbeth's ambition, once dormant, is now aflame, but it is Lady Macbeth who fuels it, whispering dark encouragements in his ear. "Screw your courage to the sticking place," she urges, "and we shall not fail." The plan is set. One fateful night, Macbeth murders King Duncan in his sleep, his hands stained with the blood of an innocent. The weight of the crime shakes him, but Lady Macbeth reassures him power is worth any price. With Duncan dead, Macbeth seizes the throne, but uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. He is haunted by paranoia, fearing that Banquo, whose descendants were also promised kingship, may one day rise against him. The answer is clear. More blood must be spilled. The walls of Macbeth's mind begin to close in. Banquo is slain, but his ghost refuses to stay silent. At a grand feast, Macbeth sees his old friend's spectre staring back at him. Raving before his guests, he reveals his guilt in a moment of madness. Desperate for reassurance, he seeks out the witches once more. Their cryptic warnings only deepen his dissent. "Beware, Macduff," they say. "None of woman born shall harm Macbeth. And most ominous of all, his reign will last until Birnam Wood comes to Dunsinane." He believes himself invincible, but the seeds of his destruction have already been sown. Macbeth's tyranny knows no bounds. He orders the slaughter of Macduff's family, an act so heinous it seals his fate. The rightful heirs of Scotland, led by Prince Malcolm and the vengeful Macduff, march against him. And then, the impossible happens. The soldiers, disguising themselves with branches, make their approach. Birnam Wood is moving toward Dunsinane. The witch's prophecy is unfolding. In the final battle, Macbeth fights with the fury of a cornered beast. But when he faces Macduff, he learns the truth. Macduff was born via caesarean section, not of woman born. The prophecy's final twist. With one swift stroke, Macbeth falls. The tyrant is dead, and Scotland is free. Macbeth is a tale of ambition, of unchecked power, of fate versus free will. It asks the question, was Macbeth doomed from the moment he heard the witch's words, or was his downfall a result of his own choices? His story is a warning, a testament to how power can consume even the noblest of men. And Lady Macbeth, once the mastermind, is not spared. Driven mad by guilt, she meets her own tragic end. But what do you think? Was Macbeth a villain, or was he simply a man who made the wrong choices? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love unraveling the legends of the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for our next great story. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep reimagining the legends of the past.